and giving also a salutations thereof towards the Yakim that's forwarding this truth in the same spirit. And shalom to the brothers and the sisters of the heathen continually. It's the brother Laban coming at you another video. And in this video, I just want to respond to this man here, which is a father of a child, or maybe two or more. But as you can see, as I'll play this video later on and bring to the school board of the things that are written in this book that is read in the school, or one of the books that maybe one of the kids have probably read that's in the school. And this is not much of a surprise to us. I mean, yeah, it's damning, but it's not much of a surprise to those that believe in this thing, because I mean, come on now, I mean, like, this world is under the vibration of Satan due to the powers that be. So they're gonna allow all of this nonsense to go on in the school. And the thing of it is the fact that right now the trend for all of these schools is to sexualize children. I'm not saying every single school that is, but for the most part, it seems to be very frequent when it comes to these schools being found out that they're pushing perverseness and that kind of sort of thing. All right. Which is definitely indeed satanic. So what I want to do is before I go any further, I just want to read one precept in the book of Proverbs 29 verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And I mean, like, when you watch this video, all you see behind this man, which is supporting this man, is the faces of mourning right here, because of the world that they have to deal with, and dealing with their children being brainwashed into believing in this perversion. All right. I mean, we talk about from changing one form to another form, and sexualizing the children overall. All right. So, you as a parent, you may teach your child one thing, but the school system is teaching a totally different thing, which is contrary against nature and contrary to the teachings of what you've taught your child. And may Yahweh Bash Meow Shai be upon those that are in this truth, that have children, and dealing with this sick world concerning these school systems, man. I tell you, and eventually the time is going to come, man. It has to be that the time is near for this world to come to a complete end, because this shit gotta stop, man. This is getting too out of hand and way left. Okay. But like I said earlier before, the powers that be, which obviously the world is unaware of, is the fact that they're servants under Satan. Okay. And that includes sexualizing children. That includes reforming the minds of many, especially starting with the youth, to go beyond the doctrine of such and putting that into activation. Now, I found a couple of articles down here in the UK. You have a lot of teenagers, so-called teenagers, which ain't no such thing, but I'll just use that term anyway, that are very depressed because they're under hormone blockers. They're taking hormone blockers, especially the boys, so that their hormones and their testosterone levels can be below, so that they can basically project that gender they want to project, and being that, and vice versa. So this is the ultimate reason as to why, or should I say, one of the precepts that I have as to why the people are mourning. And we'll begin by reading this. The earth is also defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws and changed the ordinance and broken the everlasting covenant, which to break the everlasting covenant means to break the law. Yeah, so that's where the curse comes from, and that's why the earth is under the curse, and this is why the people are mourning. Because naturally, people are supposed to live accordingly to the ways of how the Heavenly Father created man to live, but society is teaching you contrary to that, and starting with the children, which is very well understandable indeed to those that have the children, because children are supposed to be children and to be as what the Lord created them to be, as well as adults. But yeah, at the end of the day, due to the laws being transgressed, this is what's going to happen at the end thereof. And this is why we speak about the incoming, which is happening before us, a third world's nuclear war, to end and to cease all of this madness. Therefore have the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate, and therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. And it's going to get to that point. All right, because the sins are going to reach unto heaven, and then once the Lord, which the Lord already knows already, as it is written, the Lord is angry with the wicked every day. But enough is going to be enough. And when enough is enough, then the Most High is going to give Esau a dose of his own medicine. And it's all going to come back and backfire on him, literally. All right. So there you go, man. And what I'll do is I'll read this too, because what I've mentioned is the fact that this society is under another god, which is the god of Satan. And Solomon elaborates the damages that comes from worshiping other gods. Okay, so we're going to begin by reading verse 14. For by the vainglory of men they entered into the world, and there shall be they come shortly to an end. For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he have made an image of his child soon taken away, now honored him as a god, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices. And thus in the process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law, and graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings, whom men could not honor in presence, because they dwelt far off, and they took the counterfeits of his visage from far, and made an express image of a king, whom they've honored to the end that by it, and to the end that by this their forwardness they might flatter him that was absent as if he were present, and also the singular diligence of the artificer, did help to set forward the ignorance to more superstition. For he, peradventure, willing to please one in authority, forced all his skill to make the resemblance of the best fashion. And so the multitude, allured by the grace of the works, took him now for a power which a little before was but honored. And this was an occasion to deceive the world. For men serving either calamity or tyranny did ascribe unto stones and stocks and incommunicable names. Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of the Most High, but whereas they lived in great war of ignorance, and those so great plague called they peace. For while still they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites, they kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled, but either one slew another traitorously, or grieved him by adultery, so that there reigned in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, and perjury. The point is in verse 26, disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good turns, defiling the souls, changing of kind, disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless and uncleanness. And all of this is happening in today's world right now. Disquieting of good men. And when you notice something on YouTube, when you speak a whole lot of truth on YouTube, guess what? Your video is capped or your shadow banned. Forgetfulness of good turns defiling of souls, changing of kind. Right. Under the guise of Satan, this is why the schools are now sexualizing children and coercing children to accept that it's okay to change your form from that which you naturally are supposed to be. All right. Because the powers that be worship various of gods that the ancients of worshipped, and overall is all Satanism that is influencing the world. And this is what the majority of the people don't really tend to realize, is that your powers that be worship a totally different God, which is contrary to what you had been taught. Okay? And this is why souls are being defiled, and souls are being told that it's okay to change your kind of as to who you are. Changing of kind, disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless and uncleanness. And all of this is happening. all of this, right? Disorder in marriages. That's happening at a very frequent rate now. So much so that you got men talking about failed marriages and why it's unreasonable to get married. And adultery is happening like every single minute, the second of the day. All right, this happens daily. And shameless uncleanness. Again, this is going on as well. So this is all because of the God which is influencing this world, which is the God of Satan. Okay? And the reason why all of this is being pushed out here is so that the powers that be, which in secret worship Satan, can give reverence to their God, which is Satan. All right? And that's what controls this modern day world. All right? It isn't the traditional Christian beliefs, which that's a form of Satanism in itself, which I can do another video in another time. But all of these different doctrines overall are part of that satanic agenda too. All right. But overall, this world, from the powers that be, this is why they do what they do. They fund schools. They give schools curriculums to make degenerates your children, because that's what they want. They want degenerates in this society, and as a matter of fact, enough so that eventually they can get rid of your children and you in the process, which is a part of the New World Order plan, which is to depopulate. All right, check out the Georgia Guidestones. That's why they burned down the Georgia Guidestones. All right, so that's it on that. So with that, I'm going to play the video, and with that, I'm going to close, and I say shalom. Here goes.
So you guys probably are aware that TPS and Mustang schools are going through some accreditation problems via HB 1775. You guys are going to have the same issue if you don't clean it up. And I'm going to find it, and I've got some connections that I've made over the last couple of years battling you guys, that I'll bring that to bear. These books. This is in 2 elementary schools. It Feels Good to Be Yourself, a book about gender identity. Sanger and Will Rogers teaches the kids that the doctor is merely guessing whether it's a boy or a girl. That's a millstone offense. Explicit child rape, child molestation. Do these have academic value? You guys are going to have to answer that question. And it shouldn't take a form. If I send an email to a man who's in charge of protecting the innocence of our children, and the response is fill out a form, I would consider that a millstone offense. There's a rape of a 10-year-old girl, graphic, in this book. It's heartbreaking. By no means should there be a ban on books. Don't mistake what I'm saying for that. There ought to be academic books in the school libraries. And this problem, I never imagined it would be at my alma mater. I went from 4th grade up to Stillwater Public Schools. I'm an alum. And we have books after book after book after book. This is the junior high. This book contains sexually explicit assault and battery. I hesitate to read it. I don't feel comfortable reading it to adults. 13-year-olds can check this book out. And you guys have bought it for them and provided it for them. And it needs to be corrected ASAP. Are you going to eat her? Yeah, Earl, I'm going to eat her. Do you even know how to eat? No, not really. Papa Gaines never sat you down and said, son, one day you're going to have to eat. No, but he taught me how to eat a. Yep, I would teach you some technique. That's a little complicated. Son, I don't have time for that. I got 20 over here I need to eat. Is that right? I'm on a deadline. It goes on and on and on and on and on and on. There are 79 in this book. 79. 51 shits, 11 dicks, 15 and 9 goddams, and the list goes on. And you guys need to fix it.
So if YouTube is blurping this out, then you already know that they're in the wrong. Flat out. Shalom.